What is going down, YouTube family? It is your boy Zary, and before we get into the video, one thing I want to tell you is, if you are just starting this game and you are under level 15, make sure you're using my promo code. Down in the description of my video is a link if you're just finding this channel for the first time. Click that link to download Dragon Champions on iOS or Android. Once you do that, click the cog setting, wrong way, right there above me. Click that cog setting. Inside the cog setting, you are going to see the use promo code. Make sure you're clicking on that. When you're in the promo code, type in XMG gift. Hit the OK button and get $10 worth of free stuff. So with that being said, my YouTube family, enjoy the free stuff. Help support the channel. I love y'all. Enjoy the video. What is going down, my YouTube family? It is your boy Zary, and we are here for the long-awaited Noob series for Keb and Bab. And if you're unsure of how I did this video, or you have questions, linked in the description of this video down below is going to be my video of me explaining what I did to it. And I'm really excited. I'm trying to keep these as short as possible, so we're not going to waste any time, and we're going to get into the new revamped for Noob series. Alright, we're going to start with his move kit. His move kit, A1 ability, Cold Pitch, deals 220 magic damage. If the enemy is not burning, it puts a burning on them for 2 turns. Pretty solid, you know, because when you're using him, you're stuck sometimes attacking somebody, and burn is so pivotal to his kit, which we'll get into. You'll understand a little bit about what it means, but looking at this at gear level 6 or beyond, you're going to need magic damage, obviously, to increase your overall damage of this ability, and you're going to need potency. What potency brings is to ensure that that burning sticks. You go through that potency tenacity check. Now at tier 7, it gives you an additional 40% magic damage, so you're going to be at 260, and then you are going to gain burning to burning enemies. And I just realized I spelled enemies wrong down there, so there's the first mistake. But what say you have a stack of burning on, you attack somebody with their basic, it's going to put another stack on as long as you pass that potency tenacity check. So this allows you to just spread that burning even more. I rank this T7 ability as excellent. I think it's one of his best, and it really is vital to his overall damage, which we'll get into. Moving on to his A2 ability, Burn to Grill. He deals 240 physical damage to all enemies, so we're seeing an AoE, removes all stacks of burning from themselves, and then redistributes them among enemies, starting with the lowest health. And you'll kind of see this when we talk about his passive, but he places burning on himself. He's immune to it. He uses this and he spreads it out. Above me, you can kind of watch and see it work. If he has Oink, he inflicts heal block for 2 turns on burning enemies. So you have an AoE heal block ability, really solid. At no Oink, he inflicts burning for 2 turns to all enemies. So either way, this move is extremely beneficial, and it's benefiting you and your kit as a whole. It just works out really, really well. Now the requirements again for this move is we're seeing the magic damage, obviously to increase your full magic damage, and we're seeing potency, because even if you're removing them, you're still placing a debuff. And I checked with Lizard Breath on this a while back, and if you're doing something like that, it still goes through the basic effects of placing a debuff, so you do need that potency tenacity check. At tier 7, you bring this ability up by 50% magic damage, so you'd be up to 290. Burning lasts 1 more turn. So now you're getting it for a 3 turn if you have no Oink, and then you're getting 1 more turn on your heal block, which is a 3 turn. A 3 turn AoE heal block in the right situations can be absolutely devastating. But I rank this as an above average tier 7. Simply because the extra damage is great, but you can increase your damage without having this one on there. When we get to his passive, you'll understand that more. Having burning last 1 more turn helps affect that damage, and having a 3 turn heal block's really, really good. But the reason I put it above average and not excellent is simply because a 2 turn heal block is still really, really good. And I think there's other T7s in his kit which benefit him better. Moving over to his A3 ability, Crispy Fried. He gains a crit damage increase and a damage increase for 2 turns and restores 50% of his turn meter. Oink. Remove all stacks of burning, and for each stack removed, you gain shield equal to 50% of Keb and Bab's magic damage. Now, so we're seeing here, we're removing all stacks from yourself, and say you have 8 stacks, you're getting 50% shield for those stacks. For each stack, you can regenerate your whole shield. In the videos above me, there's a couple instances where this happens. No oink, you gain a potency increase and 2 stacks of burning for 2 turns, helping you then next time you use it to spread it. But if you don't have oink, getting a potency increase is okay, and maybe at gear 11 and gear 12 the potency increase is going to become really helpful for you. But at gear 13, that potency increase is kind of null and void. It's almost overkill. So you really want to use this Crispy Fried ability to maximize your damage if you have oink. And that's something you need to be cognizant of. Again, in this we're seeing the magic damage, right? Because you restore shield equal to 50% of Keb and Bab's magic damage. So it's their overall magic damage. But that potency increase, so the more potency you have, with that potency increase just ups your potency even higher. So that's why we're seeing those. The T7 upgrade here gives you a 20% turn meter increase, so you're going to 70% turn meter. You're getting 20 more shield, so it goes to 70% of Keb and Bab's magic damage. And then the potency increase in burning with no oink will last 3 turns. This is an above average T7 because the turn meter is fantastic. You use this move pretty much right off the bat if you start a fight, right? You're going to gain that potency increase, and you're going to get 2 to 3 stacks of burning if you have this T7 on there. It's 70% turn meter, which means you can turn it around rather quickly, and speed becomes less of an issue for this guy with T7. So Crispy Fried is a really good move, a little bit selfish, but I like it quite a bit. It plays into his kit really, really well. We're going to move on to his passive, Born to Grill, and it's actually the tattoo on their back, which is really kind of a cool way to put it in. But let's start here because there's a lot going on, and I've noticed some spelling mistakes in there, so I apologize for that. But Keb and Bab do not take damage from burning. We've already talked about that. So their passive, which we're going to read, puts on burning. Their A1 puts on burning. If you don't have oink, their A3 puts on burning. So there's a lot of ways to build this up. Now, Keb and Bab gave me 10% damage increase for each stack of burning on themselves. This is massive. When I was playing, I'd get 8 to 10 stacks, increasing my magic damage by 80 or 100%. It's absolutely massive, right? If Ambo and Lance are in the party, they both gain a 10% reduction in magic damage for each stack of burning on themselves. That is huge, but it can't be any more than 50%. So that is something we need to keep in mind. So if I had those 10 stacks like I was talking about before, I'm still capping at 50. But when we get into his stats, this almost puts him, if you had 5 stacks on you, it almost puts you at 100% magic damage reduction. It's very, very solid, and you do notice it as you go. And at the start of their turn, if Keb and Bab have 4 stacks of burning, they gain oink. Otherwise, they lose it. Right? So say you had oink and you did your passive ability, it's going to remove that oink if you only have 2 stacks on. So that's how you gain and lose oink for Keb and Bab. Now, there is no requirements on this passive other than the fact of the more burning you have on yourself, the more damage and magic damage reduction you're going to take. This T7 upgrade is a plus 3% damage increase. So you'd be gaining 13%, and that is an awful lot. But compared to his other ones, I rank this one as a below average T7. You don't need it to nuke. The more you put on, or if you do this, you're going to nuke even harder. But the overall total difference in that, you know, say you have 10 stacks on, it's extra 30%. It makes a big difference. Most of the time you're sitting about between 4 and 6 stacks of burning. unless you're just really, really building it up. But to do the most damage possible, you're going to sit between those 4 and 6 stacks. So 4 stacks, it's an extra 12%. In the long run, I mean, it's a lot, but it doesn't make a huge overall difference. So we're going to jump over to the tier 7s on Keb Bab, and we're going to talk a little bit more about them. And I took myself off the screen so everybody can see it better. And this is the way, after playtesting, and this is my way. Somebody else probably is going to disagree with me, but this is how I would do it. Number 1, I'd put on that T7 on his basic. I wouldn't say T7 of basic really more often, but the fact that you can spread the burn and you can increase the damage based on spreading that burn, you're spreading it out, right? And you're also putting it on yourself. Really, really solid the way that works out. I mean, it's just you get 40% more damage, and then you gain burning to burning enemies. That burning, it's great for like cheat death champions, things like that. So I found that to be the most fun and most beneficial. Now the second one is his AoE, where he does more damage on the AoE, and then you get the heal block for 3 turns. Then I move on to his third ability, where you get the turn meter gain, and you get more passive heals in the form of a shield. That turn meter gain means you can focus less on speed in the secondaries, so very beneficial. And then the fourth, I would go with the passive, because more damage is always better, but it's not going to make or break Keb Bab. So what did we learn? We learned we need burn on ourselves, right? We need that burn on ourselves. And he gives damage off his passive. So at tier 6, he's still giving himself 10% extra damage. It's massive. He has passive heals to shield based off of his total magic damage. Not like a hit like some characters do. It's whatever his total magic damage is, that's what you get. So you get your runes in there, you get your artifacts in there. It could be possibly a leadership, or if he has a damage increase off his third ability, things like that give you more passive shield, and it's really nice. You pair him with like a ambo and lance, one's healing health, one's healing shield. It's a nice little combination. Also, we see potency and magic damage constantly throughout his kit, and that's kind of where we kind of got to focus in the beginning. So those are my big takeaways. So next we're going to jump over into his stats. We're going to look at his stats at gear 11, gear 12, and gear 13. We're going to talk about gains and increases. So at health at gear 11, in the way I rank them, just as a quick recap, he is a mage, so this is based off mages. At gear 11, he has a total health of 26,280, which puts him first in the mage category. At gear 12, he gets bumped up to 34,100, which puts him at third for the mages, with a gain of 7,820. At gear 13, he gets bumped up to 48,100, which puts him fourth among mages, and with a 14,000 gain. His total health increase from going from gear 11 to gear 13 is 13th overall for mages at 21,820. Moving on the shield at gear 11 is 22,921. 9th among mages. At gear 12, we go to 29,762, which is 10th above mages, or 10th for mages, with a gain of 6,841. Gear 13, 39,812, which puts you 12th for mages, with a gain of 10,050. His total shield increase is 16,891, giving him the 10th best shield increase for mages. Physical armor. Gear 11, he has a 30.16% for physical armor, 9th among mages. At gear 12, he goes up to 32.94, which is 5th among mages at gear 12, with a gain of 2.78. Gear 13, he goes up to 35.06, 7th among mages, for plus 2.12. His total physical armor percent increase is 4.9, with his 9th best among mages. Magic armor at gear 11, he's at 38.19. 7th among mages. At gear 12, he is at 41.85. Again, stays at 7th for mages with a positive gain of 3.66. Gear 13 goes to 45.6. Again, 7th for mages at 3.75. Total magic armor increase from gear 11 to gear 13 is plus 7.41. 8th overall for total mages. But the cool thing to think about here is at gear 13, he has 45.36. You have 5 stacks of burning on you with ambo and lance in the same squad. You are at 95.6% before your runes and all that stuff, right? And you're gonna get that's a primary of that southeastern rune. You're gonna hit 100%. You're gonna have 100% magic armor. Pretty insane when you think about it. Magic damage. Magic damage at gear 11 is 2,973, 14th among mages. And there's 16 in there, so it's something to keep in mind. Gear 12, 3,173, 15th among mages, and you get a positive increase of 200. At gear 13, he's at 3,594, which is 13th in the game, positive of 421. Total magic damage increase puts him at 9th for mages out of 16 at 621. But the thing you got to remember here is I wasn't expecting him to have a huge amount of magic damage increase because his passive feeds so much more magic damage. I mean, 6 stacks, 60% more on top of that at gear 13. It's quite a lot. So I was expecting his magic damage numbers to be on the lower end, and that's where they fell. Crit chance, gear 11, 21.35, second in the game among mages. At gear 12, he does not gain anything, which drops him all the way down to 11th. At gear 13, he goes to 31.35, putting him at 6th for mages with a plus 10 increase. So his overall crit chance increase is plus 10, tied for 9th. This is one area we're going to focus on when we go over runes. We'll get to that, but crit chance can definitely be better on Keb and Bab. Now keep in mind, they give themselves a crit damage increase and a damage increase, not a crit chance increase. Potency. Potency is pretty vital. We already looked at that. Gear 11, they come in at 33, which is 9th in the game. For mages. Gear 12, 37, 10th for mages. They get a plus 4 increase. Gear 13, they're at 45, which is 9th for mages, at a plus 8 increase. So their total potency increase from gear 11 to gear 13 is plus 12, 14th for mages. Now with that no oink move, he's giving himself potency. You can make that up if you have like a 5-dot rune in that northwestern rune. You're going to be sitting about 85%, and that's without the secondaries and the other stats. At gear 13, again, we're going to talk about potency a little bit more when we get to runes. Tenacity. Gear 11, 20 tenacity, 16th, dead last among mages. Gear 12, he goes up to 36, gaining plus 16, puts him 14th among mages. Gear 13, he gets plus 8, putting him at 44, still becomes dead last for mages. Total tenacity increase is plus 24, which is tied for 5th among mages. Speed. Gear 11, he's at 134, which is dead last speed for mages. Now remember, he's giving himself 50% turn meter when he uses his A3 ability. Gear 12, he gets a 12 jump in speed to 146, 9th in the game. Gear 13, he gains 0, keeping him at 9th at 146. So overall, he's 7th in mages for the best speed increase from gear 11 to gear 13 at plus 12. So what did we learn overall, right? What did we learn at his stats? His crit chance is going to need help. We're going to need to get him some love for that gear, even gear 12, gear 13. He's still going to need love in the crit chance department. His speed is still important, but he's feeding himself so much turn meter. 50% is a lot, and then if you put that T7 on, you're getting 70%. So is it something we only look for in secondaries? We'll talk about it. Damage gets better as you go, right? But you're feeding yourself damage. So, but damage is so important in his kit. We're going to get to that. He has a lot of middle of the pack stats. I was expecting magic damage to fall in the middle or the bottom tier, but tenacity is concerning, right? His overall jump in stats just kind of puts him middle of the pack. In potency, again, you know, gear 11 and 12, it's an issue. Gear 13, not so much. I mean, there's so many potency tenacity checks he goes through. It's very important for his kit. So now, finally, we're going to jump over into runes. Now, runing this guy, to me, this is how I would do it. And at gear 11 and gear 12, it remains the same for me. I'd put a 4 damage set on him because you're getting so much from your magic damage. Gaining an extra 15% damage is huge. Huge. You're getting, you know, you're getting another 10 off his passive. So I'd put the 4 damage set on him with a 2 potency set at gear 11 and gear 12. Because you want to make sure when you try to spread those burns, they're not resisted. And then he's putting burning on his A3 as well. Things like that. You got in the secondaries, I'm looking for speed. These are in no particular order, but speed, more damage, crit chance, penetration, which is a new stat, gonna up your damage sneakily, and then you have crit damage, which is a new stat, and then potency. Now at gear 13, I'm changing up the runes because with the stacks of burning he's gonna put on himself and the increase at gear 13, we can drop off those potency runes in my mind, right? You can go if you're more concerned about your overall damage, if you're using him to restore the shields back to himself, things like that, you go for the 4 damage. If you just want him to crank even more damage, you go crit damage. And then the secondaries, where potency is, you put a critical chance in there. An extra 8% is going to be extremely vital to this guy. And in the secondaries, the same thing. We're looking for speed, damage, crit chance, penetration, crit damage, and potency. But crit damage kind of gets pushed up a little bit if you're going for the crit damage set, because you're building him to be more of a damage dealer. At gear 13, you have that opportunity to do that, in my opinion, because you have that higher potency. It's going to help you out. You're almost at 50% at gear 13. Even if you don't have any other potency, it's going to be huge. But like I've been saying the whole video, that northwestern rune should maintain potency, because you're getting another like 26% out of that. It's going to put you in a good spot where the secondaries are going to benefit you enough to maintain what you want to do, where at gear 11 and gear 12, it doesn't give you that opportunity. Alright, we're going to jump over to artifacts. We're going to talk about them. And the thing you have to remember about artifacts is the primary stats that you want to look for are damage, crit chance, crit damage, and potency. Now, you need to look at how your character is built. Either at gear 11, gear 12, gear 13, doesn't matter. Look at how they're built. Because if you are lacking potency and you don't have really good potency runes, then you want to try to find an artifact with potency, right? Same thing. If you're focusing on the potency and you're sorely lacking that crit chance, try to find one with crit chance. These are 5 I just really like. The Lucky Clover is an epic, or a rare. Gives you, at max level, 48% crit damage, 36% shield. That is a huge amount of shield to be putting back. Landing a critical hit has a 25% chance to restore 1 turn to ability 3 times a battle. What if that hits your A3 or your A2? Massive, massive if it happens, but the stats alone are huge. That extra 36%, if you could max it out on the Lucky Clover, could allow you on that Southern Rune to put a critical chance. Next one up is an epic, the Loot of Success. Max level gives you 24% crit chance, 9600 health. Landing a critical hit increases crit damage by 2.5%, 4 times a battle. So that is 10% more crit damage. You're getting crit chance from it, you're getting crit damage from it, some survivability. I like that one. Page's Bag, crit chance at 24%, health at 96, killing an enemy increases crit chance and accuracy by 2% 3 times a battle. You do have to kill somebody, but he's doing a massive amount of damage. He has that AoE built in, so you got a really good shot of actually hitting that. Giving yourself 6% crit chance and accuracy is nice, plus the crit chance increase, some more survivability. We have an uncommon up there, Lucky Clover, and this, most people probably have it, right? You're getting 36% potency, 36% lifesteal, increasing his survivability, damaging only one enemy, which you do on your basic, and you're going to be using it quite often, has a 25% chance to increase crit rate by 2.5% 3 times a battle. So we're getting 36% potency, which with that northwestern rune pretty much would allow you to forego, even at gear 11, would allow you to forego that potency set to put the crit chance set on. So you have to look at it like that, right? And the last one is just the Horn of War. Crit chance plus 24%, shield 9600, applying a buff, which you do on your third ability with that crit damage increase and the damage increase. It has a 50% chance to apply Tenacity for 2 turns, twice per battle. Tenacity increase. We already talked about how low his Tenacity is. You know, it's not something we focus on, but the crit chance at 24% allows you to do other things in your build. A lot of times in these videos, people ask me, which is your favorite artifact for him? Well, I can't give you one for him because it's on how you build. Maybe you want to go crit chance and damage. Maybe you want to go crit damage and crit chance, and you need to focus on your potency in this. So it's really on how you build your character is where I'd recommend your artifact hunt to begin. So we've talked about runes. So for primaries for gear 11 and gear 12, right? You have to go damage in the north. I'd continue to go speed regardless in the northeast. Southeast has to be armor. I would put crit chance personally for gear 11 and gear 12 in the southern rune. Southwestern rune, he doesn't have any caveats in his kit that he benefits off of health or shield. It's based off his magic damage. He's restoring shield, not off his total shield percent, but off his magic damage percent. So just go with whatever gives you the best secondaries. And then southeast, I would go potency. Now gear 13, we're switching things up a little bit. Not by much. North is still damage, northeast we're still going speed, southeast has to be armor. But in the southern rune, I'm putting critical damage. The 8% versus the total amount of crit damage. Now your crit damage can cap, and I might be wrong, but I think it's like 200 or 215, somewhere in that range. It caps out and doesn't benefit you really much anymore. I learned that when I did the Talius for noobs. So if your crit damage is already that high, then go crit chance, or go straight damage. In the southwestern rune, right, the secondaries. The southeast at gear 13, I would switch over to damage. You should have enough potency in your build in your secondaries, plus maybe on an artifact, to allow you to squeak out a little bit more damage, and you could put that in the southeastern rune, and it could really up your shields you give back to yourself, obviously your overall damage. So now we're going to talk synergies, and I don't have to mention the half pigs or Ambo and Lance, obvious synergy there. But 6 that I'd like to talk about, obviously we have Ember. She benefits from the burn so much, she puts it out there. One of the weaker ones, but Amara and Lake, their damage will crank having this guy by his side because it's based on burns on the target or on the field. Imagine him spreading 10 burns and Lake comes through with that mass AoE. It's just devastating. Corcoran was an interesting one to me, and maybe people didn't realize it, but if you T7 his Spectral Beast, you need one caveat of stunned or burned enemy to unleash that massive amount of damage. There's almost guaranteed to be burned with Keb Bab on the battlefield. Thanisa is kind of like Amara and Ember. She benefits from poison or burn. And then Cruel is an interesting one because now he will go stealth with her because he is a mage. He falls under that mage tag, and it doesn't have to be an order mage, it just needs to be a mage. He'll go invisible, increasing his survivability. Then we are going to talk some counters. Now, if you're fighting a Keb Bab, some people you might want to consider taking into the battle, obviously Hard Orc. He's going to spread that burn out, just going to tick away. If he's in a burn team, it's really going to screw you up. Hard Orc has that passive cleanse. Patriarch Chi removes, I think it's 2 buffs, so say they got 3 stacks of burning, you're going to take it just down to 1. Very, very beneficial. Selena, flips buffs, and then she can kick them back, which is kind of a double-edged sword, right? But flipping the buff is huge. Obviously, Eric's shield breaker is going to fall in there because he puts up that debuff immunity. He can't spread the burn at all. And then I have Adam. Adam's interesting to me because a lot of times you're going to get stuck maybe behind a tank, or especially if he's like a half pig team, Centurion. That basic with the 50% chance to put the damage decrease down can really come in handy. He can crank his damage up so high, reducing that by 50%. Still means it's probably going to hit hard and it's going to hurt, but it won't one-shot you. So there it is, my YouTube family. There is the first revamped Noob series. Please let me know what you think. Let me know if, you know, and as I said in that video, I only playtest these characters at Gear 12 and Gear 13 for maybe a couple hours at a time. So somebody probably has them there and plays them all the time, but this is my first initial reaction and how you could build this character to have success and then tinker from there. So let me know what you think of this video. These take a long time to make, and after this video I will post the next poll of who we'd like to see a revamped Noob series from. Thank you to everybody, because this is really a collaboration of the whole YouTube family out there. Feedback I've gotten over the course of, I'm almost coming up of 2 years of doing this, and it's really cool to see. So thank you everybody to that. So with that being said, I love y'all. See you in the next one. I'm out.